Okay, so after what feels like an eternity, Starbreeze have finally broken the silence and commented on the current state of the first Payday 3 update. Now, it is really nice to finally have something concrete to go off of, some actual communication, and I will acknowledge that they do open the blog post by apologizing, and this blog post actually gives us quite a lot in the way of communication. There are 4 main things that Starbreeze acknowledge in the post, and I think they're all really good things for us to know as the community. Firstly, it's acknowledged that the first patch has been sent off and is currently going through the certification and testing process, and Starbreeze make it very clear that this is in keeping with their commitment to the players in regard to maintaining parity between all platforms, and they comment that this is a very important part of the process for that to happen. The second thing that Starbreeze mention is that the reason it's taken so long for this patch to be ready is quite a long and complicated story, but what they do tell us is that they found issues related to the update pipeline after the game's release that put player progression at risk, and potentially, if not sort of dealt with properly, could have resulted in everybody's progression being wiped entirely. The third thing they mention is that they see and acknowledge all of the feedback that's come out about the progression system, and the designers are looking at a system that can be adapted to balance both the challenge system as well as offering infamy points for each heist, and I'm hoping other ways of earning infamy points, but they do say that they're going to come back to us with more information on what exactly this system will look like once they know more themselves. And the fourth and final major point in the blog post is that Starbreeze have acknowledged that once they can consistently deliver patches, the team will also deliver on their plans for more content for the game, and we can expect to hear more about that kind of content as and when we get closer to it being ready. So that's the major sort of narrative beats, if you will, of the blog post. There is a little bit more, but it's mainly just apologizing and so on and so forth, at which point isn't necessarily something we need to be covering here today, but I will leave a link to the blog post itself in the description of this video if you do fancy reading it in its entirety. And I'm a bit conflicted about this blog post, to be completely honest. And not even necessarily the blog post itself, more what the blog post represents, if you will. See, a couple weeks ago I made a video discussing Payday 3 and kind of voicing my potential concerns about the future of Payday 3 on consoles. It seemed like the narrative was that the console certification process is what was delaying the major first update, and in my video I spoke about how that concerned me for the potential future of the game on consoles, potentially even seeing a repeat of Payday 2 if it got to there, where consoles were completely abandoned. But this blog post quells those fears, as Starbreeze have outright commented that they are still committed to keeping parity on all platforms. And so, yes, you could say that that video I made a few weeks ago was a little bit on the pessimistic side. We know where we were with Payday 2, and given the launch of Payday 3, things didn't go to plan, and so maybe those plans were changed, and that was sort of the reasoning behind me making that video. But now I really don't think that's a possibility. I'm very comfortable that consoles are going to be supported for the entirety of Payday 3's life cycle. I just wish we would have heard this sooner. And that's not just about the console side of things. Obviously, it's highlighted in this blog post that the main issue with this patch, and a big reason into why it was delayed, was that there were potentially significant risks to resetting player progression. Given how much people haven't really enjoyed progressing at the moment, that would have come as a kick. I think I'm currently around level 78, 77 at the moment. I've unlocked almost everything there is to unlock, at least in regard to sort of base content, and if I was reset, I wouldn't be too happy, assuming obviously that the new progression system isn't something that's a lot easier to navigate, and therefore being reset wouldn't be such a pain. But still, nobody wants to get their progress reset. And if we would have been communicated with properly and told that this is why the patch was delayed, we could have had a significantly more optimistic outlook on the future of the game, instead of sort of everybody questioning where Starbreeze went. The radio silence was, quite frankly, not on. And I want to acknowledge as well that the release of this blog post was, in my opinion, quite well thought out. The blog post that I'm speaking about in this video was published on October 25th, and the previous communication we had from Starbreeze was September 26th. So if they had waited one more day, we could have turned around and said it's been a month of silence. And I don't know, something about that feels, I don't know exactly how to feel about that. I'm sure it's nothing, but I do want to point it out because this, at least from my perspective, doesn't seem like information Starbreeze only had on October 25th. This seems like something that they've known since the release of the game, really, and so waiting a month to communicate with us seems a little bit unnecessary. But anyway, I'm pleased to be able to make a slightly more optimistic video on Payday 3, and whenever we hear more about this update, you can bet that I'll be covering it here on the channel. And so with that all said, thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, drop a like on the video. If you disliked the video, drop a dislike on the video. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you in the next video.